when the cosmos, that is Paramatma, is a Nirguna Brahma, we should also, as a reflecting media, we should also be a Nirgunam. That is number one. Number two, when Paramatma is Nirgunam, how he is reflecting Aishwarya, power, strength, and all these things. Number three, so the inert body, that is the Jada Vastu, gets revealed by consciousness. So there is only one consciousness.
Okay.
There is no two consciousness, reflecting consciousness and reflector consciousness. Is it? Yes,
Good
completed.
question. Good question. So this brings up the point that I wanted to discuss but did not have time, which is the usage of the word reflection. Okay. Pratibimbam they are saying. But if you use the word reflection, then several questions like this will arise. First question is what? Hey, you are saying there is a source, which is consciousness, and there is a reflecting medium. Is this reflecting medium separate from the source, from consciousness, from Atma? This will be the first question. This should be the question, because in the example of the sunlight being reflected medium is not the sun. The reflected medium is not the light also. And they're all separate things. The reflection also is separate from the reflected medium. So this question should arise. That is the first question. Second question, is the reflected medium independent of Brahma, consciousness? If the answer is no or yes, then you get two independent things, like the sun and the mirror. They're two independent things. So here it can't be like that. And we say, okay, no, reflecting medium is not dependent. I mean, it's not independent of Brahma, and it is Brahma also. Therefore, the so-called sun and the mirror are really the same fundamentally. That question we have to say. Then is the reflecting medium Satyam or Mithya? These questions will arise. So this is why we don't take this word literally, reflection. It is just meant to appreciate the sentiency, insentiency, and Sukshma, the cosmos versus this microcosm, and the manifestation of the consciousness into a sentient being, because that consciousness is manifest here in a way that it can express itself. And even though in a stone the consciousness is not expressing itself, still that stone is also that same Satchidananda. Okay. So we have to be careful when we use the word reflection. We use it and then we take it back. We just say, okay, this consciousness is able to manifest even more in a sentient being. And even among sentient beings, the human being is there. Then there are animals which are also conscious, of course, which are able to express themselves in so many ways. And then there is a plant kingdom, and where the trees are there, they grow so tall and they're able to do so many things. They're limited, they don't very limited function. And then there are microorganisms. And there are like that which are also further limited, and even which have functions. So like this there are there. So just so we be careful, we are not going to take the word reflection too literally. Consciousness is manifest in different ways, and The beauty is, yes, consciousness is nirgunam. Nirgunam. And yet, we see so many qualities. Everything is mithya. So we have to invoke the idea, this what we learned earlier, Satyam and Mithya. Mithya has qualities, Satyam has no qualities. Correct? The pot has qualities. Pot has qualities. But Satyam, pot has a shape, but clay doesn't have shape. Even though we say clay's color is pot's color, etc. But if you further analyze clay, what you end up with is Satyam, which has no qualities. So what's amazing about this, our view, is that which has no qualities has the capacity to be manifest as that which has qualities. That is what we will say. Nothing, I mean, it's for us it is maybe hard to imagine or hard to believe, but that's the model. Not just the model, but that is Satyam. Nirgunam Brahma, Shastram says. So that's the way it is, Venkateshanji. You may not like it, but that's the way it is.
When he is Nirgunam, how he is passing on qualities to others. That is Jivatma.
Correct. That is how it is. So our idea is based on our idea of the world. We find it difficult to appreciate it, because when I make sambar and I put all these things, so chili powder, the sambar powder I put, or chili powder I put, and I measure it in a right amount of quantity, because the more I put, the more hotter it's going to be, spicier it's going to be. And so this is my idea of creation. Everybody's idea of creation is like this. So all the raw materials have qualities, and those qualities of course appear in the output, and this is our model stops with that. So welcome to a new model, Venkateshanji, where Nirgunam is appearing as Sagunam. Nirgunam is appearing as Sagunam. Okay, and that's
using Sagunam, we are meditating on Nirgunam.
Okay, we have not talked about meditation yet, but you cannot meditate on Nirgunam. Because if I ask you, what did you meditate on? Is that on an object or not? If you say,
No.
Yes, it is an object, what object it is? Is it Ishvara? Is it your Ishtadevata Krishna? Is Rama? Is it your Ishtadevata Ashtabhuja Durga? You will say something. And so,
need not be.
Need not be. If you say, then fine. Then you can't say meditating on. Yes, you are meditating, and you are in, maybe you can say you are in samadhi, nirvikalpa samadhi, and you are Brahman. Where is the question of meditating on Brahman? Tell me, Venkateshanji. By your argument, you are Brahma, and so you want to meditate on Brahma. You are Brahma. So water is meditating on water. Water can meditate on wave. And because meditation means thought, if you are saying thought, a thought is finite. A thought has a form. Thought of something. If you say thought of nothing, you have to explain to me what thought of nothing is. So something to think about. It's a technical aspect. It's not I don't claim this to be a very obvious thing. But we say that meditating on Brahma means, what will you meditate on? You have to tell me what you will meditate on. Everything is
surrendering to the cosmos.
Okay. See, now you're changing the language. Now you're saying surrendering to the cosmos. Okay, go ahead and surrender to the cosmos. That is fine. So that is what our Sharanagati Buddhi is there. May you give me the strength to accept what comes. I surrender to you means I accept everything that happens around me as a manifestation of you. So what it is, amazing transformation comes in me because now I won't react. Previously, I used to react all the time, and therefore I am anxious. Every moment I am anxious. What happens next minute, I don't know. I am holding on to so many things, I'm anxious. But once I surrender, Sharanagati, yeah, then I see order everywhere. I see Ishvara everywhere. The whole Jagat is nothing but a play of Ishvara. And therefore, what happens is within order, I accept order. I am also in order. So there is no need to be anxious about anything. So initially, that is the first step.
There is no action.
Anxiety.
There is no action, only Kainkarya. There is no action, only appreciation. There is no action.
Yeah. So
only
good.
Pleasing of that.
Correct. So there is Kainkarya.
Only when there is action, there is anxiety.
Yeah. So fair enough. So that is the in the Dvaita. If we continue to be in this idea of Dvaita, if I continue to look at Ishvara as separate from me, everything you said is correct. Correct?
No, I didn't separate. I said cosmos. I said cosmos. I didn't separate.
Good.
I surrendered to cosmos, only one. And that's all. And I am, whatever the work that I do is not an action, but it is the appreciation of the manifestation of him. Whenever I go around the temple. Whenever I touch something, I touch him. Whenever I speak something, I speak him. It is a manifestation of him as a Kainkarya. I may be doing some work, watching TV or something.
Perfect.
So there is only one. Here also only one. The Dvaita also, it is one only. Okay.
That is fine.
Sorry, I hope I have not disturbed.
No, that is good. So we are saying what we need to say one statement here. That is correct. If I say I surrender to you, the Dvaita Buddhi is there. Please understand this very well. We don't need to analyze it now. But if I say I surrender to you, the Dvaita Buddhi is there. The surrender is important. Dvaita Buddhi is important. Only we all have Dvaita Buddhi. We are trying to appreciate Advaita here. Advaita Buddhi. So through Dvaita Buddhi only, we are going to appreciate Advaita. So as long as the Dvaita Buddhi is there, I have no choice but to treat Ishvara as this order. And yeah, for now I think of myself as separate from you. Therefore, I surrender to you. Once you know that there is no difference between you and Ishvara, then the chapter is over. Chapter is over. There is no more surrender. There is no more namaskara and all. Whether Ishvara can come and do namaskara to you. And you both can have a nice conversation. Ha 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 ha. What a joke this life was. Like this, you can have a conversation. Krishna can't touch you because you are Krishna. Correct? So until then, this Kainkaryam, Sharanagati Buddhi, all that is important. Correct? Until then. So this, the mind gains that capacity by sublating the ego. Right now, my ego is big, and I think I am this and I am that, and I've given myself a particular status that really doesn't belong to me. So that Sharanagati Buddhi is wonderful. It just deflates that, and it allows this Advaita Buddhi to rise up. So Swamiji used to say, bring Ishvara in your life. Bring Ishvara in your life. So this is the great way to bring Ishvara in our life. Good. Any other questions? Thanks, Venkatesh.
So now temples, you would have seen Shiva is half Parvati and half Shiva. And Lakshmi is in Vishnu. Lakshmi is symbolic of all the Aishwarya, all the power, all the vitality and everything. And the Perumal is Nirguna. So symbolically they are keeping it like this.
Correct.
Okay.
You have to show something, and so that non-separateness is shown by those things. Yeah. Lakshmi, Vishnu, oneness, and Ardhanarishwara, half.
She is the element of action. He is the Nirguna. Okay.
I saw in one of the dances, actually it was in Houston, presentation by a group who's Dhananjayan. Yeah, Dhananjayan is the name. It came to me now. And
Dhananjayan.
The last show was he acted as Ardhanarishwara. It was just brilliant. And he's dressed up. The way they dressed him up is, to dress up, one half is Shiva. Means the face also should be colored, dressed up in that way. And this half is Parvati. And body dress also. Here there is some kind of male dress. And here there is a sari that is draping down. And there's a lot of room for creativity here. And brilliant. Brilliant it was. And I suppose if this eye has to be moved, this eye should not move. I don't know what all what all Bharatanatyam tells about presenting Ardhanarishwara, we don't know. So yeah, you're right. Okay. So if there are no other questions, we will.
If no other question, I have a general question. Today there was a final test between New Zealand and England, and I was thinking when New Zealand was about to win and they lost, what type of karma is that for them? Is it country karma or team karma or captain karma?
Correct. Good question. Unfortunately, Gahana Karmano Gatihi, Krishna says. Gahana Karmano Gati.
Both the wins.
So he says you can't even. I don't think he says I don't know, but he says we can't. This is too complicated. Captain, but we will say one thing: captain's karma is there, team's collective karma is there, and of course, country's karma is there. Because by through prayer and other things, they can influence the outcome. And the team, of course, by being prayerful and by being more focused, they can influence the outcome. Of course, the captain has so much in his hands, her hands. So there is that to be talked about. So everybody involved in this. So it may appear that one person did this, or a couple of people did it. But yeah, it's everybody. But the mind looks for answers, right? Constantly answers. Why? And, now, see, that why only one set of people ask. The other set of people don't ask why. They are happy, they walk away. And they go have fun.
So it is a vote against Brexit. So UK cannot exit. UK can only include.
UK can only include. Vote against Brexit. Okay. Interesting.
One other observation is that when you said, I cannot see the cell phone, suddenly the light came up on that. Okay, so the reflected consciousness I could see there. So you didn't see, you're actually showing us the picture, the cell phone, that you're not able to see that in the background of all the light, but actually it suddenly came up with the light. So which is basically the reflected consciousness there. So, and it's suddenly it came up. So I just observing that.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. Yeah, that's very interesting. The fact is true. Black color absorbs heat and light. Means it reflects less. You won't say it doesn't reflect. I suppose it reflects some small fraction of whatever comes. So but if there is an absolutely dark, that's what the black hole. A black hole like black object is there, then not a single ray of light will come to your eyes. If that is the case, and if the other parts are reflecting light, then you will see a vacuum here. You will see no light, which means it will appear dark to you. Correct, Hem? Am I correct?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So therefore, I mean, you saw a reflection because there is a little surface. There is a plastic surface coating. Of course, glass also reflects. So you can see the reflection, right?
Yeah.
So things happen. But even if there is no reflection, you will still be able to identify this. And so very interesting, something to think about. But there is some light reflecting from some parts of the thing, and therefore the mind just puts everything together and says that's a cell phone. So it very, very confidently makes that.
So in other words, the mind is actually able to see is based on the reflected consciousness, right, from the witness. Is that right? In other words, the consciousness which the mind is able to think through or able to perceive things is actually taken from the reflected consciousness, which is actually in turn from the witness. Is that right?
Yeah, so there is no such thing as witness as separate from the mind. The mind, yes, the mind has the capacity to manifest consciousness, reflect consciousness, if you will. And that capacity is thought, thinking, etc. All those attributes the mind gets. The mind gets, yeah. So it does come from consciousness only. Because nothing is separate from consciousness also. Okay. So therefore, that witness, you're using the word witness for that Satchidananda Atma, which is manifest in this mind, which is able to make all these perceptions. Correct. But a mistake is being made.
Yeah.
With all these wonderful functions, what happens? A mistake is being made that I take myself to be that mind. I take myself to be this body. Correct?
Yeah.
That is a mistake.
And that is how also knower and known also exists. Right? Otherwise, the known is gone
Correct.
at the moment.
Yeah.
I have a
Correct.
question.
So exactly.
The Sukshma, you said
Yeah, go ahead.
sentience is there because of Sukshma Sharira being present in that particular entity. So, for example, the Sukshma Sharira that is there in a human being reflects more strongly if we take it like that. And then the Sukshma Sharira that is present in animals, maybe it has a little bit of like dirt on it, or maybe the surface is not very reflective. And as we go less and less, suppose we come to a rock, is there any Sukshma Sharira, or is that Sukshma Sharira completely destroyed in that? Like if we take the reflecting medium as being clean and then getting dirtier and dirtier, and that's why we are not seeing the full manifestation of the consciousness as we progress, like the sentiency wise. Why is that? Like, is it just matter of the reflecting medium, the Sukshma Sharira being in a different way or something like that? I don't know, like how to express it, but why is that we see something more sentient than the others? If it is all dependent just on the Sukshma Sharira. Because consciousness
So
is one.
we happen
The
to,
reflected medium is different.
yeah, consciousness is manifest as there is some an aspect called Sukshma Shariram, which makes some objects sentient, some objects, absence of which makes other objects insentient. So it is just presence or absence of Sukshma Shariram.
So there is no Sukshma
And,
Sharira in the soul. It's not like it is
correct.
there, but it,
Correct.
okay, there's nothing, no, it doesn't exist. Okay.
That's correct. Doesn't exist. Sukshma Shariram doesn't exist. So we can see how when the body's functions start failing, it's a good way to appreciate, in a patient or something like that. It's a way to appreciate how that Sukshma Sharira aspect. And so just last month, right, I told you the other class also, that multiple organ failure I was watching. And so the Sukshma Sharira slowly gives up. So the Sukshma aspect of the kidneys gone. So kidneys don't function at all. Okay. And likewise, the lungs are failing, and some other parts are failing. And the lung needs a physical organ called the lung, and it needs a appropriate Sukshma Sharira to do the function. And that function starts failing. You can see it failing. I'm sure doctors, for you, it's all daily, on a daily basis, you see these things. But for somebody like us, you can see that failing. And then you begin to appreciate the Sukshma Sharira. So that Sukshma Shariram, I'm not dividing the Sukshma Shariram into so many pieces, but if you look at it as collectively, then the ability of the Sukshma Sharira to make the lung work is not there. Because Sukshma Sharira is complicated. It's complicated, it's very sophisticated. So that aspect, it loses that capacity. So then the kidneys stop functioning. And then the doctor says 1 hour. And God, how confident they are. That is another thing I noticed this time. And 1 hour doctor says, and within 45 minutes the person passed away. I don't know, Mohini ji. This is the first time I heard this from the doctor, and
if you see that there are certain things, vital things that if they are deteriorating, you can kind of estimate how much time you have. Yes, I mean, like when your vital organs are gone, there's not much. Like your lung or heart is affected already. Kidneys, you still have time, but lungs or heart, depending on what exactly is causing that organ to fail, you can have an estimate here.
Correct. They have so much in their mind. They kind of know what are needed.
Yes, you can judge and get an estimate. Yes.
No. If everything is function fine, but the kidney function is failing, they can do dialysis, and then
some of the things you can keep them alive for some time, but like heart also, like even if you lose like some percentage of the function, you can still have it if it's like 10%, 20%. No. And you are not able to reverse the process that is causing that, then there's no way you can confidently say that going to be few hours, or depending on what is going on, an hour.
Yeah. So the reason I gave that example was the Sukshma Sharira. I could appreciate even more that how we take that for granted, and how the function deteriorates, and the Sukshma Sharira is ready.
Too. Like one system fails, leads to the stress on other systems. The other system cannot tolerate that stress. Then that goes on affecting the other system. So they're all interdependent too. So how those things work is very complex, but you can still figure out because they're very related. I mean, like especially the respiratory and cardiac system. Once they are there, the brain will. You'll at least have brain, right? If not, the heart will stop. Cardiorespiratory arrest or brain failure, you have brain dead. One or the other.
So, Sukshma Shariram is what differentiates sentient and insentient, just to summarize the discussion. And therefore, the question comes, therefore, what is the difference between these two? The non-difference is with respect to consciousness. That Satchidananda is the content of the stone, and it is my content also. Consciousness, Chit. But the Chit is not manifest in a way. It is manifest in a sentient being. Because Sukshma Sharira is not there. That is a model says Sukshma Sharira is not there. Need not be
So
there.
there is existence, but there is no ananda, or there is no knowledge basically in that thing. Is that what it is?
Then you are talking about experience. Able to experience Ananda. Okay?
Oh, okay.
So that ability to experience is not there.
No, but you said like in a stone also, stone is also Satchitananda, right?
Brahman is Satchidananda, yes. No doubt about that. But you are asking, if you say, can it experience happiness, if you say, then you are talking about the type of experiences human beings have. So stone will not experience anything because it's not a living being. But
I think that's a good word. You just used living being. That's what I was thinking. So living plus being would differentiate these two things.
No, but when everything is Brahman, my question was, everything is Brahman, is like, why doesn't it manifest? What causes it? One reason from what discussion we had today was Sukshma Sharira being present or absent. Is there something more to there that I need to understand or something? I don't know. I got only one aspect of it, is the Sukshma Sharira being a reflecting medium. Consciousness is there everywhere, but the Sukshma Sharira might not be there to make it manifest. Is that correct? Or
Sukshma Sharira is an entity which need not be there. Which need not be there in every so-called distinct object that you are looking at. Thulam is there, but Sukshmam is not there. Why? In a dead body, there is no Sukshma. Why talk about a stone?
True.
So therefore, then the dead body doesn't respond. It responds exactly like an insentient being which still has all this, the body that has just passed away, will still go through the normal processes of, I don't know what, decay, whatever word you want to use, right? So all those processes are happening, but the Sukshma is not there. So therefore, we have the right, the survivors have the right to either cremate the body. Because Sukshma is not there. If Sukshma is there, then what? Then the process is complicated. Person doesn't respond, but Sukshma is there. Then what do you do?
Coma, like you're talking about coma
like situation, comatose condition, and then that's why that's a different issue, right?
Yeah, their functions, some of the functions will still be going on. Yes. Good. So
Giacomoji,
good discussion. Good.
Just 2 comments.
Yeah, there is some. 1 second. There is some noise. I've muted everybody. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yeah, just 2 comments on the questions. So one thing which is coming out is that when we think of consciousness, we always tend to objectify it. Like when we ask questions, all of these questions have this underlying. It seems they have this underlying theme that we have objectified consciousness. Like it's a thing which shines through us, right? The second thing is that we sort of tend to confuse consciousness and awareness. They are 2 different things. We are aware right now, but that is not what consciousness is. So just 2 comments which I wanted to say.
Yeah. So yes. So we need to be careful here that the consciousness we're talking about. Start using this word too often. We try to look for consciousness. How will consciousness be? Yeah. Where is consciousness located in my body? These ideas we might get. So that consciousness which makes us aware, this awareness. So normally, sometimes consciousness and awareness are used synonymously also. Because that awareness is important. We have to be aware of the awareness. Okay. Means we have to be aware enough to say that I am aware, correct?
Yeah.
So that self-awareness is there. Yes, I am aware. So that's an important revelation actually, and which we take for granted. And it's that awareness that sustains everything. When I say book is, that isness is what sustains the book, really speaking.
Yeah.
And so good observation. We will
But
get
if we
to
use
that.
English, then it should be, the consciousness is awareness only, right? If you are using English, if you use Sanskrit, of course, it would be different, but I think it is understood as that awareness. Because if I am ending at the edge of my nose, because my awareness is up to that, right? So my body is ending at the tip of my nose. That's a feeling which I have. So all this, when I lift my hand, that is my awareness. So it is actually coming from the same quote unquote consciousness, which is nothing but the awareness.
Yeah, so I don't distinguish awareness and consciousness.
Yeah.
Swamiji has never distinguished. Means awareness is the perfect word. We don't. Consciousness is used because that is. I am conscious of. I am aware of. Both are synonymous. I use it synonymously. Okay. So because I am consciousness, you can't look for consciousness out there. It's not an object out there. And so we're trying to put the pieces together. Yeah.
So I meant awareness in the sense that, during the waking stage, what the experience of observing everything. So that is what we usually call awareness. So I was distinguishing between that and what we are calling as consciousness.
Correct. So that awareness, the process of being aware of things, which happens in the waking state, and which doesn't happen in deep sleep for sure. Correct. Yeah, if you refer to that as awareness, then.
But there is awareness
That's an
even
experience.
in deep state, isn't it, Dr. Jaykumarji? Even in deep sleep state, we have the awareness, but it is recognized later that I was fully asleep. Awareness will never go away. Even in the dream state, the awareness is there, right?
Yeah, so James' definition is different. He's talking about when you're consciously aware of something.
Just in the Jagrat.
He's calling that as awareness.
Okay, I see. Only in the Jagrat.
Correct.
Okay.
Even in the dream state.
So we'll conclude now.
Even the dream state and the waking state combined together, you are aware of something. So that's what I'm calling as awareness.
That's what I was referring to.
Correct. Something that
there is still awareness in
something
deep
that
and dream state.
Yeah, so it's just terminology. James' definition of awareness is you can say, yeah, you can speak about it. Okay. And
that's
there was that
experience. If I had a wrong concept that there's no awareness in dream state and deep sleep state. But yeah, it's a different terminology. But I got it.
Yeah. Okay. I will conclude with that.
Dhanyavada.
Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Okay. So